The poor and middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them. What if everything you learned about money growing up was actually holding you back from building real wealth? What if the path to financial freedom isn't climbing the corporate ladder or getting straight A's, but understanding how money actually works? Welcome back to the channel, where we break down the most game-changing books so you can level up your life in under 20 minutes. Today, we're diving into one of the most influential personal finance books ever written, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. This book has sold over 40 million copies worldwide and completely changed how millions of people think about money. Rich Dad, Poor Dad isn't your typical finance book filled with spreadsheets and investment jargon. It's the story of how Kiyosaki learned about money from two father figures: his biological dad, the poor dad, who was highly educated but always struggled financially, and his best friend's dad, the rich dad, who barely finished school but became one of the wealthiest men in Hawaii. The contrast between these two men's philosophies reveals why some people build wealth while others work their entire lives and barely get ahead. In a world where the average American has less than $1,000 in savings and is drowning in debt, understanding these principles isn't just helpful, it's essential for survival and success. Key idea number 1: the rich don't work for money. Here's the fundamental shift that Kiyosaki wants you to understand. Poor and middle-class people trade their time for money, but wealthy people make money work for them while they sleep. Think about it like this. Most people go to school, get good grades, find a secure job, and then spend 40 years working 40-plus hours a week. They're essentially renting out their time for a paycheck. The problem? There are only so many hours in a day. Your income has a ceiling because you only have so much time to sell. Rich people approach it differently. They acquire assets, things like businesses, real estate, stocks, or intellectual property that generate income without requiring their constant presence. It's like building a money-making machine. You put in the work up front to build or acquire the asset, and then it keeps producing income month after month, year after year. Here's a real-world example. Imagine you work at Starbucks making $15 an hour. You're trading your time for money. Now imagine you own a rental property that brings in $1,500 a month in profit after all expenses. That money comes in whether you're working, sleeping, or on vacation. That's making money work for you. Action step: start asking yourself this question with every financial decision. Is this purchase making me money or costing me money? Begin shifting your mindset from being an employee to thinking like an owner. Key idea number 2. Assets versus liabilities. Know the difference. This is where Kiyosaki drops one of the simplest yet most powerful definitions you'll ever hear. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. Sounds basic, right? But here's where most people get it completely wrong. They think their house is an asset. They think their car is an asset. According to Kiyosaki's definition, if it's not putting money in your pocket every month, it's not an asset, it's a liability. Your primary residence? You're paying the mortgage, property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. Money flowing out. That's a liability. Your car? Depreciating in value, costing you in payments, insurance, gas, and repairs. Liability. Now, a rental property that generates positive cash flow, that's an asset. Dividend-paying stocks? Asset. A side business? Asset. Even a vending machine that generates passive income? That's an asset. The entire game of wealth building boils down to this: acquire assets that generate income and minimize liabilities that drain your wallet. Here's the kicker. Rich people buy assets first. Middle-class people buy liabilities thinking they're assets. Poor people buy expenses and wonder why they can't get ahead. Action step: make a list of everything you own. Honestly categorize each item as an asset, puts money in, or a liability, takes money out. Most people are shocked to realize their balance sheet is loaded with liabilities disguised as assets. Key idea number 3: mind your own business. Kiyosaki makes a crucial distinction here. Your profession is not your business. Your job is what you do for someone else's business. Your business is your asset column, what's making you money independent of your job. Think about it. You might work as a teacher, an engineer, or a marketing manager. That's your profession. But if all your income depends on showing up to work, you don't have a business, you have a job. And here's the harsh reality. A job is the most fragile form of income. You can get fired, laid off, or replaced at any moment. Minding your own business means building and growing your asset column while you're still employed. Maybe you start investing in index funds. Maybe you buy a duplex and rent out one side. Maybe you create an online course or start a side hustle. The point is to create income streams that aren't dependent on you clocking in. Look at someone like Mark Cuban. Before he became a billionaire, he was bartending and giving computer lessons on the side. But he was building businesses, his asset column, while working for others. When one of his startups took off, he could leave the 9-to-5 behind because his business was generating serious income. You don't need to quit your day job tomorrow, but you do need to start building something on the side that could eventually replace your day job income. Action step. Identify one way you could start building your asset column in the next 30 days. Could you buy your first share of stock? List an item for sale online. Start learning a skill that could generate side income. Take one concrete step. Key idea number 4. The history of taxes and the power of corporations. Here's a truth bomb most people don't realize. Taxes were originally created to punish the rich, but the wealthy flipped the script, and now they use the tax code to their advantage. When you work as an employee, here's what happens. You earn money, the government takes taxes out immediately, and then you get to spend what's left. Earn, tax, spend. You're working for months every year just to pay taxes before you see a dime. But when you own a business or invest through the right structures, the order changes. You earn money, you spend it on business expenses, and then you pay taxes only on what's left. Earn, spend, tax. This is completely legal, and it's how wealthy people operate. Corporations aren't just for massive companies. Even a small business owner can benefit from tax deductions on equipment, home office space, business travel, and more. Real estate investors can use depreciation to offset income. These aren't loopholes, they're incentives written into the tax code to encourage business and investment. Let's say you make $60,000 at your job. You'll pay around $10,000 to $15,000 in taxes, leaving you with about $45,000 to spend. But if you make $60,000 through a business and have $20,000 in legitimate business expenses, you only pay taxes on $40,000. Same income, much less tax. Action step? If you're serious about building wealth, educate yourself on basic tax strategy. Read about tax-advantaged accounts like IRAs and HSAs. If you have any side income, consider whether forming an LLC makes sense. And definitely talk to a tax professional about your specific situation. Don't just follow generic advice. Key idea number 5. The rich invent money. This concept might sound strange at first, but it's incredibly powerful. Financial intelligence is the ability to see opportunities that other people miss and turn those opportunities into money. Kiyosaki shares stories of finding deeply discounted properties, negotiating creative deals, or identifying undervalued assets that others overlooked. This isn't about luck, it's about developing your financial IQ so you can recognize opportunities when they appear. Think about the 2008 housing crash. Most people saw disaster, but people with financial education saw deeply discounted real estate as a once-in-a-generation buying opportunity. Those investors made fortunes by acting when others were panicking. Or consider someone who learns graphic design and sees that local businesses need better branding. They invent money by offering a service that solves a problem. A software developer creates an app that 10,000 people pay $5 for. They invented $50,000. The point is this: money isn't just something you earn at a job. With knowledge and creativity, you can create value and generate income in countless ways, but you need to invest in your financial education first. Action step? Commit to leveling up your financial education. Read one personal finance or investing book per month. Listen to podcasts. Take an online course. The more you learn, the more opportunities you'll see that are invisible to others. Key idea number 6 is to work to learn, not to earn. This is career advice that goes completely against what most people hear. We're told to specialize, climb the ladder in one field, become an expert in a narrow area. But Kiyosaki says if you want to be rich, work to learn, not just to earn. He uses his own life as an example. He worked in sales, real estate, and the Marine Corps. Each job taught him different skills. Sales taught him how to communicate and persuade. The Marines taught him leadership and discipline. Real estate taught him about investing. He wasn't chasing the highest paycheck. He was collecting skills. Rich Dad encouraged this approach because successful entrepreneurs need a broad skill set. You need to understand sales, marketing, accounting, investing, leadership, and communication. Specialists make good employees, but generalists with diverse skills build businesses. Think about someone like Elon Musk. He taught himself rocket science, engineering, software, and manufacturing. That breadth of knowledge allows him to innovate in ways that narrow specialists never could. Now, I'm not saying become a dilettante who never gets good at anything, but especially when you're young, prioritize learning valuable skills over maximizing your salary. A lower-paying job that teaches you sales might be worth more in the long run than a higher-paying job where you just execute the same narrow task every day. Action step: identify your biggest skill gap when it comes to building wealth. Is it sales, financial literacy, marketing, leadership? Find a way to develop that skill even if it means taking a sideways career move or learning in your spare time. Key idea number 7 is overcoming fear and taking action. Here's the harsh truth. Most people will read about these ideas and do absolutely nothing. And the biggest reason is fear. Fear of losing money, fear of looking foolish, fear of failing. But here's what Kiyosaki wants you to understand. Failure is part of the process. Every successful investor has lost money. Every entrepreneur has failed at something. The difference between rich and poor isn't that the rich never fail, it's that they don't let fear of failure stop them from trying. Think about investing in stocks. Yes, the market goes down sometimes. You might lose money on a particular investment. But people who never invest because they're afraid of losing actually guarantee they'll never build wealth through that avenue. They fail by default. Or starting a business. Most businesses fail, that's a fact. But you know what else is a fact? Almost every wealthy person owns or owned a business at some point. If you let fear of failure stop you, you've already lost. Kiyosaki isn't telling you to be reckless. He's saying start small, educate yourself, and take calculated risks. Buy one share of stock to learn how it works. Start a tiny side business. Take the first step even if it's scary. Remember, playing it safe is actually the riskiest thing you can do. Relying entirely on a job, saving money in a bank account earning less than inflation and hoping for the best, that's a guaranteed path to financial mediocrity. Action step: identify one financial fear that's holding you back. Now take the smallest possible action to confront it. Afraid of investing? Open a brokerage account and buy one share. Afraid of entrepreneurship? Sell one thing online. Action kills fear. Key idea number 8. Pay yourself first. This principle goes against everything you've been taught. When most people get paid, here's what they do. Pay all their bills, buy what they need, and if there's anything left over, maybe save or invest it. Kiyosaki flips this completely. He says pay yourself first. As soon as money comes in, immediately set aside money for investing and building assets. Then figure out how to pay your bills with what's left. But wait, you're thinking, what if there's not enough left to pay my bills? Good question. That's exactly the point. When you pay yourself first and create that pressure, you force yourself to get creative. You find ways to earn more, spend less, or both. You light a fire under yourself. When you pay bills first and save what's left over, there's never anything left over. Expenses magically expand to consume all available income. But when you commit to investing 10% or 20% of every paycheck before touching anything else, you make building wealth a non-negotiable priority. Warren Buffett has a famous quote, "Don't save what is left after spending, spend what is left after saving." Same principle. Action step? Set up automatic transfers so that a percentage of every paycheck goes straight into your investment account before you can spend it. Start with whatever you can, even 5 or 10%. Make it automatic so you can't chicken out. Let's rapid fire through the core lessons from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The rich don't work for money. They make money work for them through assets. Know the difference. Assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out. Mind your own business. Build your asset column, not just your paycheck. Use the tax code. The wealthy understand how to legally minimize taxes through smart structures. Financial intelligence creates opportunities. Educated investors see chances to create wealth that others miss. Work to learn, not just to earn. Collect diverse skills that will serve you as an entrepreneur and investor. Take action despite fear. Failure is part of the process, and inaction guarantees you'll stay broke. Pay yourself first. Make investing a priority, not an afterthought. The big picture? We're taught to go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, and retire at 65. But that's the path to being middle class at best. If you want real wealth and financial freedom, you need to think differently. You need to understand money, acquire assets, take calculated risks, and invest in your financial education. Look, Rich Dad, Poor Dad isn't going to give you a step-by-step blueprint for getting rich. What it will do is completely shift how you think about money, work, and wealth. And that mindset shift is where everything starts. The question isn't whether these principles work. Millions of people have used them to build wealth. The question is whether you'll actually apply them. If you got value from this breakdown, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next book summary. Drop a comment below and let me know, what's one action you're going to take after watching this video, and what book should we cover next? And if you loved Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you'll probably want to check out The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley or Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. We'll be covering those soon. Now, stop watching YouTube and go build some assets. I'll see you in the next video.